are just about to head on our tour, and this tour is really to understand more of the really dark history of South Africa and the people and their amazing leader Nelson Mandela that really brought freedom to the country. And from people we've talked to, there's still a long way to go, but he was obviously a huge step towards that. So it's meant to teach us a little bit more, and it gives a lot of money back to the community, these tours. We always pick really ethical companies that really provide for the community that we're going in and visiting. We never want to go in as tourists, we want to go in as learners and just kind of see what they can teach us. So looking forward to a really moving day, I think, and seeing what lies ahead.
Home for over 3 million people. So an important thing to note about Soweto is it's actually sort of divided into 4 different areas. This is what our guide explained. There's sort of an upper class, which is the Diepkloof, and then there's the middle class.
And there's Orlando East and Orlando West in that.
Yeah, and then there's the middle class area, then there's the middle lower class, and then there's the area where there's a lot of poverty in the shanty towns.
More of a squatters.
Yeah, and so it's broken up into 4 sort of different areas, depending on the wealth in the area. So this is the Diepkloof extension portion of Soweto, which is sort of the rich area of Soweto that was created for the rich black people that weren't allowed to live in Sandton, which was designated for white people only.
That's house, eh?
Very nice.
If they had money there, they got money. Oh yeah, this guy always say, Mamela. I'm coming. I must join him one day. So it used to be a men's hostel, Diepkloof men's hostel. So if you're single, you would stay there. It's like dormitory, sharing. But at the moment, people are like squatters there. It's families. So it's not been maintained, and the government was going to knock it all down, replacing with those new ones. Can you see that?
So this is the old Diepkloof area, which is sort of their middle class neighborhood.
To change the medium of instruction from English to Afrikaans. You know, the Afrikaner government. And the students said, no, we don't want to study in Afrikaans. We're okay with English because it's international. Afrikaans is going to limit. It was all about power. You know, the Afrikaner guys, apartheid government. And the students were not happy about that. They organized a protest march, June 16, 1976, 41 years ago. As the students were marching, police started shooting, and some of the first people shot and killed was Hector Peterson. He was 13 years old. And Soweto was on fire, South Africa was on fire. So this museum tells you a story about Soweto students' uprising. That boy carrying Hector, his name is Mbuyisa Makubu. So Mbuyisa was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
So this is Nelson Mandela's house, or was his house. This is the master bedroom where Mandela slept. It's one of the kids' beds. This is another one of the bedrooms. This is the children's bedroom. And they're very small. To get some perspective, it's probably 10 feet wide by 15 feet deep. And this is the main area of the house. They did the cooking, living room, the kitchen, dining room, everything.
So more to your time, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
So we're at Mandela's house right now. We just did a tour on the inside of the house, and before that we did the Hector Peterson Museum, which was really moving. We have a bit of footage from it here, but we couldn't actually film inside, so most of the footage is from outside. And we're moving on now, and we're going to be heading to a different area of Soweto. We're going to be heading into sort of the middle lower class and the areas where there's a lot of poverty.
And our guide said it's really important that we go do this because this is kind of a real part of it, and a lot of the kids there have made themselves a job by setting up a tour booth. So they want people to come in, you pay them a tip, and then they get to show off their town that they're really proud of, and you're supporting their economy. So he said it's a really, really positive and empowering thing for us to be there, which makes us feel a lot better.
And it's all about educating the public and the tourists as well about the history of Soweto.
Changing the perception of it, he said, is really important too.
Definitely.
That's Archbishop Desmond Tutu's house right there. Oh no, that's Archbishop Desmond Tutu's house right there.
Taxi sign language. Different symbols mean different places where you're going.
Rest of the floor.
So we just arrived in Kliptown, which is one of the shanty towns here in Soweto, and we're about to go through a bit of a walk with one of the local children that lives in the area, and he's just going to teach us a little bit about the locals and life here in Kliptown.
One of the things that I think is going to stick with me for a lifetime is going through the shanty town. It was an illegal settlement, and one of the boys in the town, a job he's given himself is providing tours. Short, we're in there for about 15 minutes because he really wants to share his way of life, and he wants people to know and understand, and he likes, and everyone in town, they're proud of where they live and they want people to see, and it brings money in. And so we got to talk to a lot of the kids, and everyone in the community wanted to say hello, and it was just a really positive, joyous kind of mood amongst the people. And he said something really profound, and it was, we don't have much, we don't have enough, but we've made the choice to be happy regardless, because how can you spend your life being unhappy when there's not really much you can do to change it? And I think that approach and that attitude has really gone a long way in transforming the mentality of the community. Notwithstanding they have their issues there. I know our guide had said one of the big problems right now really is young people and drugs, and those issues are going to exist in all communities regardless of economic background, but there's just a lot of people living everyday life and celebrating life to the fullest, and it really shows everything that we have to be grateful for. But it also gives us such a respect of how people live around the world, and just getting to see that firsthand was really, really amazing, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to do it in such a respectful and educational way.
So these paintings that are done around in here, the Soweto area here actually hosted a radio station and based in South Africa, and they have now a recording studio in this township, and they've got artists that come in and do their graffiti tags and painting, and there's a whole sort of artistic movement. So all these like electricity lines up here are illegal electricity that have been basically just tapped in from the wires across the street, and the government knows about it, and he said that everyone does it, and it's just they leave it alone and don't worry about it. But it's in the pipeline that one day the government might bring in free electricity instead of this illegal form of electricity. Here's a good example of their electrical distribution. So this is the Calabash Stadium, which is where they play their football or soccer, and Calabash is the big bowl that South Africans use to drink beer out of. So it looks like a big beer bowl, and those sort of ridges at the top are the foam on the beer. So we just finished our day in Soweto, or half day, and now we're at the Apartheid Museum. We're gonna tour through the Apartheid Museum for a little while, and then we're going to head into Rosebank and go to the markets, because we have some things we want to pick up for our flight home tomorrow.
say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe up here. Check out our most recent other videos over here, or subscribe to our other channel over here.